They'll blanket you in Wi-Fi and profit off the radiation. Congregation collecting the people for that Satan. I keeps it blazing, cause I can read between the lines. I ain't blind, we unwind what they're really saying. Genetically modify what you're tasting. Loan you that cottage promise, so now you live up in your mom's basement. Redesign time so them to crave the basics. Keep the beta in stasis, pay the state, kid. You're in debt for being born. Messengers are more than just the price for being warned. Don't be alarmed, disconnect from their machinations. Stop subscribing to the folly of own nations. Bone breaking ain't the answer, cause they seek the ownership of souls. Spread the seeds and watch them grow. Break the chains of control. Break the chains of control.
Sweet eternal balance of all that is good, true, and beautiful, friends. Tonight on Rogueways, we are bringing the brightness and the light to you with my dear friend, gifted psychic and remote viewer, amongst other things, the founder and creator of Psy Kids, who has helped so many of our youth connect deeply with the truth of this existence. And she's changing the world in the best ways by also bringing her teaching and guidance to adults of all ages. She is a teacher and a guide, a glowing source who is contagious to be in connection with in all the best ways, and a beautiful soul who has been featured on all the networks and shows you'd recognize by name. Elly Molina, thank you for being here tonight, and how are you doing?
Hi, Lindsay. Thank you. What a beautiful introduction. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, you deserve all that and more.
Oh, no, thank you. And I'm so excited to be here with you again tonight. It feels like no time has passed since we were last chatting, and really just happy to be here.
I'm so excited. I feel the same. And if people haven't checked out our previous conversation on Rogueways, that would be great. And our conversation on your show as well, Ask Elly, that would be fantastic for anyone to go back and listen to. They're fantastic conversations. And I'm so excited because tonight we get to talk about, amongst other things, the fact that you will be at One Day of Brightness in 2 days. And this is a virtual event. It is on the 18th, this Saturday. It is in celebration of and in connection with the summer solstice. It's the height of the sun's journey, all that beautiful energy that we can connect with. So empowering. We're doing it via Zoom, so it doesn't matter where you're at, 5 p.m. Mountain. It's recorded, so if you need to step out at any time, you get to come back and see everything. If you are live with us, there's always giveaways, gifts, and things that you get to win if you are there live, so it is nice to have you there with us. Most people are live, but it is always nice too that you get to have some flexibility with that and not miss a thing. So it is recorded via Zoom. I also always like to point out, you can have your camera, your audio off or on. It's whatever your comfort level for interaction is, but you know, there's often a lot of interaction. So if you want to be camera on, audio on, or either, then you know, you're welcome to do that. It is just really cool. We get to learn practical ways to grow in our personal path, develop psychic abilities, receive messages from our guides, release old energy and trauma, heal, and it's just so rejuvenating and enlightening and wonderful. I'm so blessed to be able to do this. Elly, I'm so excited you're going to be there with us this Saturday, and tickets are in the shop at rogueways.org. There's still tickets left, so if you guys want to come, go grab your spot now. I can't wait to see you all there. And do you want to respond to that, or should I just ask you the pointless question of the episode? Yeah, you did. Choose your own adventure.
I'm excited, and we're going to have a lot of fun. I mean, I was just thinking about how important the solstice is, and that it goes back to Neolithic times. I mean, really prehistoric times across all the cultures. Makes me wonder a little bit and think about what it is about the solstice that has it be such a universal event for so long in history. I mean, think back to prehistory, right? So it's an exciting time to spend time together, to learn, to tap into this powerful energy collectively when we get together on this call. And I mean, no matter where people are, you know, I know that we're doing it 2 days before the solstice, but we're going to get everybody solstice so ready. So by the time the solstice does happen, they'll be cleared and they'll have psychic abilities to be able to use. They can use these new tools that I'll be teaching, and they'll be able to tap into this imagine tapping in on the solstice to your third eye, and just like really connecting powerfully. That's kind of pretty powerful stuff, so.
In fact, I feel like it's so powerful, and that's part of maybe why sometimes we get interference with, our troubles connecting tonight that have been clearing up more and more. And I think sometimes things don't necessarily want us to bring this much power, but we're doing it anyways, and we really can't be stopped. And this is part of what I love about the sun being at its height of its energy like that, is it's really more empowering for us, and we get to tap in really deep. I would love your reflection on this. We were doing a meditation earlier that I was guiding some people through in the meditations that we do collectively as a group, and anyone out there listening, if you're interested, you can go become a part of it. The monthly meditation memberships also in rogueways.org. But I was reflecting on how the breath in is like spring. The pause after the breath in is like summer, right? It's full, and it's just like in that moment where everything is perfectly full, and pause in that fullness. I feel that way about the summer solstice, right? And then the breath out is like fall, it's starting to fall back, and then the pause between is winter, where it's fully empty and just sort of placid in that, right? And they're all beautiful in their way, but that breath, I was just realizing today and guided to realize how it reflects this cycle that is in everything. It's always just going, and then rising and heating its peak and then falling again. And then this is the natural cycle that's reflected in everything, even our breath.
Yeah, way of life, right? Just the circle of life. And I was thinking also about how important it is to tap in and connect with our ancestors on this day also. And, a lot of people are, a lot of new agey thought is like, oh, let's clear up our DNA so that we don't have any ancestors and we're just over here. But the truth is, even if we think we're clearing up our DNA, we still have ancestors. And I think that it's really important to honor all of those people that have come before us and have, given us the light to be who we are today. And again, to tap into that collective universal so that we're giving thanks to those who were our ancestors, those of us who are here now, and our future generations. So it's just such a beautiful day to come together and clear and connect and honor the gifts that we have been given within us, and to use them so that we have this really deep connection to the earth and to each other. And I know some of these terms sound corny because they're really overused, but if we can actually get into the words of what that means so that it doesn't have to be cliche, and we really understand the reverence, the power of those words, and connect with those words and connect with those phrases, then it becomes something really deep, sacred, and beautiful, as opposed to just like, let's go connect with our ancestors. Yeah. It's like, that's kind of like that fake gratitude. I'm so grateful, right? So, but there's no real genuine gratitude, like when people do gratitude and they go in so deeply, you can start crying. So yeah, little tangent over there.
No, I love it, because that's exactly where I'm at with it. And I love bringing it back to the practical so people can really connect actually. And take something and release something and grow from it all. And so it's going to be a really powerful one day of brightness, because we are all in such deep alignment with that. But it's true, if we don't feel it internally and really connect with that, there's not really a point to it. It is all just kind of dressing and surface level, and maybe that's okay too for wherever people are at. But I love that getting in deep and actually connecting and really knowing, and when you were talking about the ancestors, I have this teaching that was brought to me, that if we could call it the soul, right? It only gathers like the good. So our living experience, we have some of the bad, and we're processing that and releasing and dealing with it. But like our oversoul, if we want to call it that, it doesn't hold on to any of that. It's just like depositing like the good things, and you get to leave the rest behind to be processed out. And I feel the same way about our ancestors. They may have had whatever traumas, whatever things going on, but the true wisdom that we're connected to through them, and the true amount of love and honor and ability and all these things, that's what really shines through, and that we want to connect with and honor. We don't have to worry about the rest of it.
Yeah, I think it's just really, really great. And just a little tangent, okay, if I may.
Yes.
During our day of brightness together, when I'm going to be during my period. Oh, help. Elly can't speak right now. During my 1.5 hours, I'm going to bring in a little bit of magic also. I think it's so important. I was sharing with you earlier, I do a lot of work with remote viewing and I do all of this psychic work. And sometimes, Lindsay, all this psychic work feels very cerebral. It feels very heavy. And sometimes it feels as if there's no lightness. It's very analytical and spending hours looking and seeing. And the lightness and the magic often disappears. And then I have to remind myself to bring back the magic. And what is the magic? Okay, we take out the neuroscience, we take out understanding how it all works scientifically, and we bring in that wonder, seeing it again through child's eyes, where your eyes sparkle because this is new and it's exciting. And I like to look at the psychic ability. This is my personal thing, even if it is so well researched and documented and we know exactly how it works in quantum physics, I still like to pretend that it's all just magic. It makes it so much more alive and exciting for me. And that's how I relate to a lot of this work. And so we are going to be bringing the magic back into some of the activities that we're doing and some of the focus activities. A lot of people always hear people say all the time, oh, I can't focus, I multitask, I can't concentrate on more than one thing at a time. And, all these conversations about focusing and ADD and ADHD, when really it's, unless there's some wiring that's really off, like seriously off, the ADD and ADHD is just a matter of learning how to focus and concentrate. I got to share a story, okay? And this has nothing to do with anything, but I'm a fidgety person. I fidget around a lot. And you'll see when we're together that I do a lot of fidgeting. And I'm quite aware of my fidgeting. I see it, especially after I'm on a video and I was like, oh, look at this. Like everybody's moving around and I'll move, everybody's sitting and I'm like this. Well, interestingly enough, I was reading a book by the medical medium, Anthony Williams. Okay. And Anthony Williams was talking about sweet potatoes. And at the very end of the chapter on sweet potatoes, he said, what are the spiritual benefits of sweet potatoes? Well, sweet potatoes calm you down. They relax you. So if you have ADD, ADHD, or you have some sort of like caffeine jitters going on all of a sudden, sweet potatoes really calm you down. So now, I'm telling you this story because it's going to relate back to focus and concentration. So the other day, I made a really big pot of sweet potato soup. It was the first time I'd ever made it, and it was so delicious that I continued to eat it all day. So by the time the evening came, I was like super mellow, and I hadn't made the connection that it was the sweet potatoes. And my friend called me and she said, you're so low key tonight. You're so chill. I'm really surprised and amazed. And I'm thinking to myself, sweet potatoes. So if children and adults were to incorporate sweet potatoes into their lives once a day, without adding all of the butter and honey and anything else, because they're really sweet anyway, just imagine how bright and how calm and how focused children and adults could be during that time, especially after I teach people how to learn to focus and concentrate and to discern what is the difference between focus, concentration, and awareness, because that's going to be the activity that we're doing. And it'll be really cool if everybody has their sweet potatoes ahead of time so that they're super chill for these.
Yeah. Well, it'll be perfect actually, because I'll be going first and I usually do a pretty deep connection, meditation might be the right word. And then Catherine comes in, Catherine O'Shea, and she brings us even deeper into that connection. And so we'll be pretty like blissed out and calm, I would think. And then you'll come in and use that for something and help us direct it. So I'm super excited about that, how that worked out.
Yeah, absolutely. Then we can go right into the activities. I mean, I'll do a little bit of meditation also in case somebody hasn't been with you ladies earlier. And then we'll just get into the meditation. We're going to be learning how to take our awareness to different parts so that we become conscious of our awareness. We're going to become conscious of focus. And then that, of course, leads to higher levels of consciousness during the day and even higher levels of awareness in our life, period.
Yeah.
And then from that space, we're going to use our third eye and we're going to go start to see things across time, distance, and space. And that's the fun part, because even people who have, especially people who have never done this work before, they always get hits. And a hit and a hit is when, for those people who may not know, a hit is when you identify the target or at least parts of the target. Bullseye is when you got the whole target, okay, and that's really amazing. But hits are great, and we look for hits, and there's no attachment, and we'll work through people and their thoughts and their fears. There's ways to there's ways to work around so that people are relaxed and calm, and they can take all of that self-talk that goes on, and we put that in a box, and they can all have that back when they leave.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I'm so excited. This is going to be so helpful for me too. I can't wait to get hits with remote viewing with you. I love too how you describe focus, awareness, and concentration as different things. That's not in my understanding yet. So I'm excited to learn from you.
yeah, we're going to do an actual exercise too. So it won't be just me lecturing you and talking at you and teaching. We're going to get right into it. We're going to have an exercise so that people can participate and have the experience. So it'll be experiential.
Oh, how perfect. I'm so excited. I know this is very random, but I'm going to go back to the pointless question of the episode and ask you, how is Costa Rica?
Well, Costa Rica was one of the most amazing experiences for me. And I'll tell you why, Lindsay. It was a first. A lot of things during those 5 days were firsts for me. It was really going in there with the beginner's eyes. So I was chronologically I went to a retreat. I was chronologically the oldest person at the retreat. I was there at the retreat as the psychic. Okay, so I was doing psychic readings for the participants, and so for me, the people that came to the retreat were basically the ladies who came to the retreat. It's called the mermaids, right? So they're basically interested in surfing and in gateless writing, and we could talk about gateless writing later on. But I love gateless, and so. I'm not a surfer. I've never been on a surfboard, not even on land. Okay, I've just never stood on a surfboard. I never was in my neuronet. And so here I am, and I'm thinking to myself before I go down to Costa Rica, well, I'm not going to get on the board anyway. So everybody else will surf. I'll go take pictures for them, and I'll just stay in the background. Anyway, that did not happen. So it turned out that I ended up surfing.
Wow.
I got on the surfboard. It was the first time in my life that I've ever gotten on the surfboard in the water. I was able to stand up. This was a big deal. And then I maybe made it like 2 milliseconds before I lost my balance, or I lost my balance.
But even just getting up on a surfboard is ridiculously difficult. So I commend you.
It was really, thank you. It was really, so that was one of the new things that I did. And then another new thing that I did, which I had never been to, I'm almost embarrassed. I've never been to a sweat lodge. And so we went to, it was an indigenous sweat lodge, and it was the traditional mezcal. Is that what it's called? Medical. I forget exactly the name of it. Maybe
mezcal. Yeah.
Mezcal. Okay. And we were in there 2 hours.
Wow.
And toxins were releasing themselves. I was like, oh God, it was fascinating. It was so fascinating. So that was a first for me also. And then I had a cacao ceremony, which was a first for me too, believe it or not. Okay. And of course, the beauty of the cacao ceremony is I could not resist reading the cups afterwards, because the cup, after you drink the cacao, the cups, it leaves a marking on the cups, just the way that coffee grinds when you're reading coffee,
Yeah.
leaves the marking. And I was looking at the person next to me, I was like, I gotta read those, I gotta read that. And so that was really wonderful. So I started reading their coffee, they're not coffee cups, but you know what I mean, they're cacao mugs. So because their future is actually in there also. So that was really great. And then another first for me was, holotropic breathing. I have not done that either. So that was almost a 2-hour session. And that was pretty intense. Um, I had a lot of psychic experiences during that. So yeah, those were, and so those were my firsts, and it was a wonderful retreat. So that's what I can say.
That's amazing. Now I want to go.
All right, come with me. I'm going in December, and I'm going to put out an email, and I will let people know, because it is just a wonderful retreat in Costa Rica. It's by the author. Her name is Emily Pereira. She wrote the book The Quest, which is an international bestseller. And so a lot of the stuff that's in her book led to her going down and creating the retreat. So fascinating, the whole thing is fascinating. The entire experience. Anyway,
wow.
Little tangent, okay?
Yeah, but very cool, because those experiences are so awesome. And I also have not done most of those things except a sweat lodge, and I've also surfed by chance. Just once, just like you. I got up and then I made it a little bit, and then I, fell down, but I still consider that a huge win. But it's neat. When you're saying, you're going to go down there and not be the one surfing, I was just thinking how important it is to release those types of judgments, right, and assumptions, even about, like, we think we know ourselves so well, but if we can at least say, well, I'm not sure what will happen, we'll see, then maybe, right?
Yeah. And there was another first for me, Lindsay. I ate an entire week of plant-based only, vegan. All right. That was new for me, all new for me. And I loved it. So I'm incorporating that now into my lifestyle as I come back here now as I'm home. So it's been a lot of changes. 5 days, a lot of changes, huh?
Yeah, that's a lot to pack into 5 days. Well, you're just like, would be releasing so much then, and then bringing in so much more light, and just be lighter and brighter. I feel like I can see it on you. It's just glowing with it.
It's going to be exciting. I'm really excited about the whole day. And can I ask you a question about it? When did you decide that you were, like, how long ago was it that you did a day of brightness, and what had you decide to do it?
I think this is our 6th one. It was December of 2019, or is it longer? Yeah, maybe it's 2019. Wouldn't that be 8 though? I don't know. Now I'm having a hard time. But whenever that was, I believe it was six solstice / equinoxes ago. I was gonna do 3 days actually. I was gonna do the 3 days to fill in the 3 days of darkness, which is that time when the sun's at its lowest for those 3 days between the solstice and when it starts to rise again, which is Christmas. Although it's not always exactly on that day. But anyways, I thought it was really important. It just felt like the world needed it. And my guides and allies were telling me, like, you have to do something to just increase the light, like send out a wave of love and get other people to join in with it and just create it together. It doesn't even matter exactly what it is. And so I just trusted that. And I invited some people who seemed bright and shiny to me to do it with me. And so it ended up being 3 other people, which set the pattern for all future, one day of brightness events. And it was just an array of topics that were interesting / techniques and practices that were uplifting, enlightening, and brightening, and, really inspirational stuff. And so it has turned out that at each one day of brightness, which is always now on a solstice or an equinox, or as close to it as we can get while still allowing for people's kind of traditional schedules to fit in, it always seems to end up that we've got a sort of like the 5 elements presented, or another way to look at it is we have one person who's really focused on body, one on mind, one on heart, and one on soul. And I really don't try to do that. Like, I just kind of allow the universe to tell me, like, who might be the best and invite people who seem like they might be interested and be good for it, and it just always turns out so beautiful. And the other thing that's been really cool about them is, and you can attest to this, the other presenters slash teachers slash guides, whatever, who are there, and myself, we don't talk really about what's going to happen. Like we don't plan it too much, and we don't like choose and plan nothing like that. But once we get there in that day, all day long, the synchronicities are just high, over and over, consistently every time. And so it always feels like it's meant to be those people who choose to come, that group of people, our energies together, what we're bringing. And it really is, though we're focused on kind of uplifting ourselves and seeing what we can connect with and heal. And I feel like it goes out to the whole universe. That's why the brightness, it's one day of brightness, but it's for everybody, actually.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, absolutely. And, as we all are universally tapped into one another, it's great. As you were talking about the brightness, my mind started to go a little bit, I went into a little bit of association there. And I wanted to let you know that I think I may have said this, but I'm going to bring in a couple of little magic recipes also to help us do our work. So there'll be some little magic recipes, because I happen to love, one of my passions is alchemy, magic, and using potions and blending and creating incantations and magical spells. And everything to me is magic. Words are magic. Lighting candles are magic. Being in nature is magic. Everything is magic. So now to bring some of that into our day of brightness, also add a little magic, wake up in the morning, teach people how to use a little bit magic, and then even learn how to create a day differently using remote viewing, perhaps, so little tools and techniques that will be practical, that will make people, that my intention is that people will find the magic during their day as they go into their, we go into routines, and some of us have professions or jobs that we're not really happy about. And there are ways to bring that magic back into those jobs, into those professions, into the day, so that we're not, oh, it's another day, I got to go to work. Okay, not one of those, but oh, it's another day, and I'm going to have an awesome time. And who am I going to meet today? And who will I serve? And what magic can manifest from me today?
Yeah, I love that.
So a little bit of fun,
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be so much fun. I love that, again, that practical, and that people get to take this and take it away for them from that day of one day of brightness and bring it through the rest of their life if they want to, right? And then, so if we imagine the one day of brightness itself and what it's bringing to each of us, and then we get to imagine how it's affecting the whole universe, and then we get to imagine how it affects the rest of our lives just by going to this one day. It's so exciting. I'm so blessed to be able to do this with all of you amazing people.
It is really wonderful, because we never know. It's the same thing. It's that old analogy, metaphor, the ripple effect. You drop a little pebble into the water and you just never know where it's going to go, who it's going to affect, but it does affect more people than we can possibly imagine.
Yes. Oh, it's so good. I just don't stop being excited about it. And then the other cool thing I notice about these events is that after the event is over, most people don't want it to end. People are like, yeah, we'll keep going, which sometimes people have looked at the length and they're like, that's kind of a long day, isn't it? But I'm like, oh, there's lots of breaks built in, but also like when you're there and experiencing it, it doesn't feel like a long day to you at all, because it's that thing where time like dilates and you're really in this, and it's very uplifting and beautiful, and you just want it to keep going. So I love that. There was something else I was going to say about that, but I don't remember what, so maybe it'll come back to me. But I wanted to ask you, too, you have this Alchemist Workshop. I also wanted to ask you about this summer program you have, because I know a lot of people out there have kids who are not in school right now and might want to take advantage of this program.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for mentioning that. So I'm going to officially announce it. Actually, it's up there already, but I'm doing a summer special. So I dropped the price by $100, and it's online. It's $197, and it is the Make Magic Happen course. And it's on my website under the Psy Kids, and you just go over there. I think I just realized now as we're talking, I don't think I changed the sales page on the website, but if you click the link, it'll take you right down to the reduced price. And so I've reduced the price now for the summer so that adults and children can do this remote viewing. And it's more than remote viewing. It's psychic development. It's intuitive development. I teach consciousness and awareness to children already. And there's mindfulness and intuitive heart, knowing how to work with the information from our heart and trusting that information from our heart. So important, so vital. And so that's all in that program also. And it's a lot of fun. It's a couple, it's 31 or 33 hours of work, and everything in there can then be used and transposed throughout the day, and other activities can get created. So parents can then create different activities for their children once there's always available. So you'll have access to it. Just you sign up once and you have forever access. It's not like it goes away.
Oh, how cool.
So it'll always be there. Mm-hmm.
And I love that you offer this to adults. It's never too late to start, right? And we all have this ability, but I love too that you offer it to children, and especially this summer program, because the kids who aren't in school right now will have something so cool to do if you go and sign up for this, which I know everyone should. But that you can imagine, like, if you were a kid and you had this instilled in you, how much different your life would have been. I mean, I'm not in regret or anything, but you can just imagine like that. Now you have all this more time to manifest and to be with that connection, and how much more powerful that is. It's so cool. I love that you do that.
Thank you. And especially, people, once you have, it's kind of like, I look at it like, if you've ever done any spoon bending or any of those kind of mental activities, you have this experience in your body. Or let's just say, for example, even with Tony Robbins, where you walk across the bed of hot coals. And once you have an experience like that in your body, something happens to you and you realize how powerful you are as a human being. You realize your human potential. So then little things like, oh, I'm afraid to get on this, or I'm afraid to go to that, I'm afraid of this. You thought, like, no, why would I be afraid of that? I just walked across a bed of hot coals. I just remote viewed and saw something 3,000 miles away, that there was no way that I could see this. I just bent a spoon. I did all of these incredible things. Why am I pretending that I'm smaller than I really am when I have all these incredible powers within me? And the interesting thing, Lindsay, some people think that it's just, unique to, them or those, like back in the day where only certain people were psychics, like that's not true. We all have it. We just need to tune into it and to use it and practice it. It's like, we can all run, but there are going to be some of us who run faster and they probably practice longer. And oh yeah, sure, there's, genetics also. And maybe some of us will be better at psychic work than others, but so what? We can all still participate and use it and do it. It's our natural ability.
I love it. It's so true. I think that you sent me a spoon bending thing and I still haven't done it, but I'm going to do it. It's my goal.
We'll have to do that another day. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe another one day of brightness even, who knows? I was going to ask you, this is so random, but have you ever done cupping with acupuncture?
Mm-hmm.
Did you go
Not
into
with acupuncture. Without acupuncture. All right, I just had the cupping, but no acupuncture. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you go into a very deep meditation? Do you remember?
Well, here's the thing. All right. With me, whenever I go into anything like massage, cupping, anything at all, I fall asleep. All right. It's kind of unusual when you think about it, because some of these things are not comfortable. Yeah. So like, if it's not comfortable, then why am I sleeping? But it just, I'm like the hypnotist perfect person, I think, just put me out, count back from 10 to 1 and I'll be snoring on the table. Okay. It's like, I don't know if that's a good thing for the hypnotist or not. It's like, oh, she's gone. But, and so does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does actually. So I almost fell asleep. I maybe did fall asleep for a moment, but I went into one of the deepest meditations I've ever been in. It's like in the top handful of them. And I was not expecting that. It was my first cupping yesterday. And so I talked to someone else who had done cupping before and is not necessarily the most intensely spiritual person who's always meditating or whatever. And they did not go into the deepest meditation. But I talked to someone else who is also very spiritual, very meditating, very, psychic abilities and all of this, who does cupping and also goes into a very deep meditation. So I was trying to figure out, is it a factor of how like ready we are to already going into that state frequently, or is it just random, or what? So I thought I'd ask. And if anyone in the chat has any experiences, feel free to let us know.
You know what I'm thinking? This is just what comes to me, is that you're accustomed to meditating. You're accustomed to trusting. All right. So now this is a deeply relaxed thing. You're not uptight. You don't have thoughts of anxiety going through your head. Like, what are they doing? What are they doing? Am I going to be okay? Am I going to be safe? All of those thoughts take away from the experience, because your mind is so busy with self-talk and fear and imagination, negative imagination, okay, or unfavorable imagination. But if you're trusting and you're there and you're just open and welcome and receiving this, like, of course you can go into a really deep, wonderful state.
That's a very good point. Yeah, which I didn't necessarily used to be in. I was like, why is this person sticking needles in me? Is it going to hurt? Is it going to bleed?
Yeah.
That's very true, which kind of goes back to what you were saying. Once you walk across the hot coals, like, what do you have to be afraid of now,
I have to tell you a little story about Costa Rica.
Yeah.
We were doing a sound bath healing, and unfortunately, I heard later that from the participants that it was really lovely. I put my head down and she started and I passed out. That was it. I was done. I woke up later when it was over.
But maybe you can just receive best in that state, Your soul like knows this, so it's like, all right, go out, so we can just like take this all in.
All right, let's interpret it that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
we'll just put that little happy frame on it. I love it. So I don't know if we talked about the Alchemist Workshop then. We talked about the other summer program, or are they the same thing, or did I confuse them?
No.
Okay.
That's the remote viewing psychic development program for the children.
Okay.
But I'm doing an Alchemist Workshop, and I'm starting right after the solstice. And what I'm going to be doing is I take people through 4 weeks online Zoom of learning how to bring magic into their life. We're going to be using aromatherapy. We use herbs. We use candles and rituals, and we use the moon timing and Chaldean numerology, and lots of really amazing things have come out of this, where people have come into money. We've done money spells, money rituals, love spells, all of this. And people have created relationships. People have brought in lots of money during that time that we were doing it together. So that starts really soon. And also, just in the event, because it's summer and it was very, very short-term notice that I'm starting this, that I will start it again in September, and it'll be all over. It'll be on my website, so there'll be ample time, because like I said, this was very short notice, and we'll see. But it will be on the website going forward. So there will be the Alchemist Workshop, and it'll be done regularly. And I just love bringing magic into, like I said, I love bringing magic and using magic in my life. It's part of my life. Sometimes I used to be a little shy about admitting it, because it's just, magic, right? Like that. But it's beautiful. It's just really beautiful.
I feel like there's so much judgment between the, I don't know, traditions or like different aspects of the things that I see as all the same things, which I'm sure people are upset about. But when we talk about remote viewing, or we talk about being psychic, or we talk about being a medium, or we talk about being a shaman, or we talk about any of this stuff, I'm like, that's all one thing. It's different flavors of one thing. And so I totally get that hesitancy to be like, I don't know, maybe don't talk about magic, but we'll talk about remote viewing. But finally saying like, no, it's all good. It's all the same. It's all beautiful.
It is all the same. It is. It's intention. It's just like, what are we going to be doing? Like, why do we cleanse with Palo Santo? I mean, is it, we can look at that as magic. Okay. Mm-hmm. But why are we cleansing with Palo Santo? What is that going to be? Is that doing something for us? Really? Okay. Yes. The scent is elevating us. It is purifying the air. However, isn't it a ritual, and isn't it part of more of a magical ceremony than anything else, in my opinion? All right.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you with that. So that sounds so fun too, this Alchemist Workshop. Just on a side note, have you decided what you might be offering in the way of like gifts or discounts or giveaways at One Day of Brightness?
Well, I do have one thing that is for sure. One thing I'm offering everyone is going to be my free online course, and I've created an online course. It's emotional alchemy, and what that means is that I teach people to use the 7 stages of emotions to build a business. But it's not just building a business, okay? It is also anything in life, okay? It follows the same thing. You know how they say the way you do one thing in life is the way you do everything, right? So that applies to business. So the 7 stages of alchemy for business are also really the 7 stages of life. So it's how we do life. And I'll be giving that away. It's an online course. It'll be at Thinkific. I'll have all the links available for everyone. And I was going to ask you, but now that you're here, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to play some remote viewing games, and there will be 3 winners. And so the winner number 1 is going to get a 20-minute session with me, one-on-one. Winner number 2 will get 15, and winner number 3 will get like 10.
Oh, how
and
cool.
So here's the thing, I'm so fast when it comes to psychic work that in 10 minutes, what takes other people, not that I want to compare, but I used to be a California psychic, and anybody who knows California psychics knows that the clients pay by the minute. All right. So you do not want, if you're a client, you do not want a psychic who is there like, well, so with me, it will be a really, really quick reading. In the 20 minutes, you may be crying, Lauren. It's like, oh God, this is taking too long.
Too much information.
Too much information. I cannot process this. Yeah.
I remember, I totally appreciate that speed and that pace. We had Robert Blond on not that long ago, and he was a past life reader in the Edgar Cayce style, and I got a reading from him, and it was only 20 minutes, but like, oh my God, same type of thing. By the end, I was like, that was plenty. I'm good. Thank you very much. Like, and on the too much information side, it's not really too much information, but our mutual friend, Robert Lindsay, I did a reading with him, and he told me I was probably going to live to 97. And I was like, oh, like that was unexpected. That's a lot. That's quite a ways. So I go up getting very much more serious about my health. If I'm going to go that long, it's got to be good.
There's no other way to be other than healthy. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah.
But I'm so excited about those games and the skills you're going to give people in order to play those games well and then win these prizes. I almost always give away some Oregon, a couple books and some things, and I know Catherine will give away some sessions with her, and I'm not sure yet what Jen might give away, but there's always such good prizes at One Day Brightness. It's one of the great benefits to this exceptionally affordable day when you think about all that you get. So I'm so excited for that. I want to ask you this, and it might seem, kind of offhand and another random thing in our string of random pieces of conversation tonight, but what are some of the ways that you make sure to take really good care of yourself and give time to yourself? Because I know you just give so much to people, and you're often in connection with people and doing all this type of work. So how do you balance that?
I stay away from my computer. I stay away from my phone. I go for walks in nature. I go back to, of course, there's meditating, right? There's meditating, and I take a honey shower also. Okay, so, and I'm going to talk about that. Maybe I'll share that magic spell. There's something, it's a magic spell, okay, and it's a cleansing ritual, and I'm going to take a note to that, and I will share that on Saturday.
Oh, how cool. I'm excited
why to do honey showers and what it will bring you. So I do a honey shower. I disconnect from mom's, my technology. Right. And then I go to nature. Now, I am very blessed to live 7 minutes from the Long Island Sound, the North Shore, and 20 minutes from the Atlantic Ocean. So as far as I'm concerned, there is no better place for a cleansing and to release energy and just cleanse out my own. And I have another formula that I make that I use, but that is saved for the Alchemist Workshop, okay? And that's a special healing blend. that I use also. And yeah, there's all kinds of things that you can use for cleansing.
How cool. I really need to be better about getting off my phone, especially in between like things that I'm doing, and just actually be in the moment and living, because I'm like, oh, it's only a few minutes, and then like half an hour has passed. I'm like, oh, okay, no. This is draining and just not the healthiest, and there's better ways.
And Lindsay, I want to say something else also. I think it's really important that people find really good healers. Okay, now there are tons and tons of healers out there, but when we find somebody who is really, really good, and we become, I guess, let's say, a regular of that person, it makes a huge difference. Because I also go for cleansings with a healer, and she's an Ecuadorian shaman, and I I've been going to her for many, 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 many years. And so I'm very fussy and particular with whom I work with, and especially who's going to be messing around with with energy on our bodies. So I suggest that people, if they do want clearing and healings, that they really find somebody who they can trust, and stay with that person. Be loyal. I don't mean it like not ever leave, but there's something to developing a relationship with a healer that is very beneficial for both the healer and the client, the healee.
Really good point. Some of the people who I work with the most regularly, I mean, they get the most profound things out of it. I get the most profound things out of it too. So when you said that, it's good for the healer and the healee, you're absolutely right. But I hadn't really thought about it in that way before, that like being loyal can actually be really beneficial to both people, not just to jump around. At the same time, though, like you said, you want to find the person who is good for you.
Right. Because you have to really use your judgment in this one, and be really discerning, because there are a ton of healers. But when you do find that person that you connect with, to then really, connect and have that be a sacred bond, because a lot of work goes on in healing, and it's
yeah, it's a lot. You're reminding me that I need to go to my own healers. So there's always reasons why we talk about the things we do. And I'm so excited what people will get. I know I keep going back to One Day Brightness, but it's only 2 days away, so it's just on my mind. But people receive so much healing from that too, both from the people who are presenting like yourself, and also from the activities, from the information, but from each other. Again, it really is like the people who come are the people who are supposed to come, and we're all there with each other. It's a really beautiful energy that we create, and a field that we create together.
I mean, I'm excited about it. I can feel the energy already. I can visualize it, and it's going to be, and I can see.
Yes. Yeah.
It's going to be great. It's going to be really great. And if you are one of those people that are going to be there, you're going to have an amazing experience. That's for sure. And everybody's so dedicated to making this be special and amazing for everyone there.
So cool. So excited. I just love that I get to do this. So is there anything else you're very excited about talking about recently that's on your mind before we start to head into the end of the show?
You want to know?
I would love to know.
Okay. So while I was in Costa Rica, part of the retreat was a Gateless Writing. Gateless Writing.
I wanted to ask about that. Thank you.
Gateless Writing, and if you want to, you can go back and listen to my podcast of this last week on Wednesday with Suzanne Kingsbury, who is an author and the founder of Gateless Writing. And Gateless is a writing method that is based on neuroscience and Zen.
Writing like with a pen, or riding a horse?
Writing books. All right. So yeah, right. Yeah, my New York accent coming through. Okay.
Well, I was just picturing like the gait of a horse and gateless riding. So that's where my mind was.
Yeah, the concept is that, most writing teachers, and I don't want to go over too much, most writing places work on the critic. And as Suzanne explains, and that's why people really, I want everybody to go listen to my podcast. As Suzanne explains, when we criticize people, the brain shuts down and we go into fight and flight. And this is neuroscientifically proven. So the creativity gets killed. And in the gateless method, creativity is enhanced and brought because there's no criticism. So the critic doesn't rage. And so it was during this week, the retreat with Emily, she's a Gateless trained writer. I got a lot of work done on my book, and it's coming closer and closer to completion. So I was very excited about that. So you asked me, you know, like, what's up with me? That's what's up with me.
Oh, that's awesome. What's the book you're working on?
It's espionage with I'm gonna say science fiction, but you see, there's not much science fiction in there if you live in my world, okay?
Yeah.
So if somebody else were to, if somebody's reading it, it's like, oh, that's magical realism, and that's such science fiction, but not in my world, all right?
It's just real.
It's just real
Yeah.
stuff, okay? But it's masked as a little bit of espionage with science fiction.
How
So
fun.
I'm really, so it's taken a long time to write, only because there's just been so much in it that is still being revealed.
How cool. I
To
love
me.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. It's coming in as you're going forward. It's the best way to write, in my opinion. Gateless
Yeah.
writing sounds awesome. You know, as a writing teacher, that was one of my methods, was to consistently and constantly praise the things that are worthy and good and should be repeated in some work. But that's true of all of my teaching, actually. So if you're out there and wondering how to help your child do things you want them to do more often, or do better at certain things, or it's all positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement is the way to go, which sounds similar to what Gateless writing sort of has in mind. Thank you for sharing that. We do have a question from the chat. We may have had more, but this is the only one I've noticed. So thank you, Travis. Well, what is Ellys criteria for evaluating a healer, or her process, or red flags, etc.?
Ooh,
Good
God,
question.
I wish I could answer that. Okay. For me, it is trusting my intuition on this one, and then waiting again and having the experience to see what was released and what was healed, and to see what afterwards, if it worked, if it helped, if what happened. All right. So I can feel the difference in my body, and I can feel the difference in my experiences. And often, Travis, it's just that initial first impression where we sit down and we're speaking with somebody, and you know, we say to ourselves, oh, I don't know if I really trust this person, or, and then that voice goes, and then we ignore that voice. But I look for somebody who's confident. I look for somebody who knows what she's doing. I look for somebody who has a connection to the divine. And I want to tell you that the healer that I work with, okay, I've never met anybody as close to what I call godlike. There's an energy around this woman that when we are in her presence, and this is not just unique to me, but when I'm in her presence, I truly feel, I feel like I'm in the presence of a very, very high vibrating spiritual person.
Beautiful.
And I have not met a lot of people that walk on the planet, on the earth, that have that energy and that aura around them.
Yeah, that is beautiful. Those are some great criteria to use. I like to add that besides trusting your intuition, seeing the actual effect of it on you, your lived experience should be different in some way. It should be noticeable in some way. But also that this was the advice I was given, and I always try to share with people because it's such good advice, is the person you're going to living in the way that you would like to also reflect back, right? Because this is what they've created for themselves. So is that similar to what you would like to create for yourself? Because what they help you achieve and what they can give you and offer you is going to be similar to what they've given and achieved and offered to themselves, at least. Even in like alternative practitioners and doctors and whatnot, I would say the same thing. Ask yourself, like, is what they're living similar to what I would like to be living?
Yeah. And you know, Lindsay, that's a really great point. And thanks, Travis, for asking that, because think about it also, even your office space, when you go into an office, the way that you do one thing is the way that you do everything. So if your home, if your office, if you're a doctor, or you're not clean and you're not kempt and your office looks messy, well, you can imagine that there's something going on over there. Is that really who you want to be healed by or work with? I mean, that wouldn't be my first person to go to.
Really good point. Yeah. What have you created around you too? Excellent.
Yeah.
I want to ask you to share with people, even though I know we've already mention a few of the things you're offering, and this, links will be below for anybody who's listening or watching to click on. But where can people go to connect with you, your show, the things you offer, and what you have going on and coming up?
Okay, well, you can find me at ellymolina.com. That's the best place to find me. And then or Google, because I can't keep up with my website, all right? I just can't keep up with my website. So you can Google and you'll find me on Podbean, YouTube, and then sign up for my newsletter, because that's where all the information is, okay? All the information is in the newsletter, and that's at ellymolina.com.
Oh, cool. They can just reach out directly and get signed up for that. I'm excited about the things you have going. I'm genuinely considering doing the Alchemist Workshop myself and just have some fun and learn new skills and methods and ways of looking at things. And we'll see if I pull that one off. But one more time, also tell people the types of things you're going to be offering at One Day of Brightness on Saturday.
Okay, so there's going to be a free online workshop. No, I'm sorry. It's a free online course, and it's called the Emotional Alchemy, and I teach people what it looks like to go through the 7 stages of business, which is not just business, it's also their lives. So you'll do this course and you'll see, like, oh, this is stage 1. This is what happens. Why do people stop in business? So I go through everything. Why do people end relationships? Why do people give up writing a book? So these are the 7 stages of emotional alchemy, and I go through all of those and show people how to break through that, and that's a free offering. And then the other free offerings are going to be a 20-minute reading, a 15-minute reading, and a 10-minute reading.
For the top 3 in the remote viewing contest. And so you're going to be doing remote viewing and some different...
magic.
And magic. So I'm very excited.
Awareness, focus, concentration. That's part of the magic, okay? That's part of magic. I'm going to be giving some magic formulas.
So we're going to fit so much into this day. I'm so excited. And people can find you at ellymolina.com. Sign up for your newsletter at ellymolina@gmail.com. I think I got that.
No, just, just sign up for the newsletter at ellymolina.com.
Okay. Easier.
One-stop shopping. Mm-hmm.
I love connecting with you. I know it's late there, so I want to let you go, and get to your beauty sleep. But what are your final thoughts or words of wisdom or things that you want to share with people before we say goodbye?
Oh, stop thinking so much. Just be. Really stop thinking, all right? Just just be present. Mm-hmm.
Very good advice. I needed to hear that myself. And fellow travelers of the path, it is a beautiful thing, and this has been your analog, electric, concentric dose of wisdom according to the beautiful soul, Elly Molina. Elly, thank you so much for sharing with us tonight. I'm so excited for Saturday.
Thank you. So am I. And thanks for having me here tonight, Lindsay. And thank you for everyone listening. Yes. It's really a pleasure to be with you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, inside each and every one of us is a seed waiting to sprout. And in some of us, it has already sprouted or even grown or even run rampant in thriving, creative, soul-connected fruiting. But there is not a body or a soul on this planet that does not carry the same seed. There is every possibility you find the nutrients, water, soil, and sunlight that are perfect for your seed to sprout into what you never thought possible. You are a piece of heaven made flesh. You get to choose how and when you sprout and grow. So let the light in and reach for the sun. And until you do, travel well, aim for balance, and always look inside first. Mwah.
I just got an SOS from somebody's girl. Most don't know what time it is. I don't know whose mind this is. Snowing in my sinuses. The league is gonna find the kid. Administer punishment. Underwater drumming squids. Fuckers wanna pummel and toss them in the rubble bin. What a dumpster fire. Motherfucking wide. Try diffusing it. If your thoughts are living, grow tired. Split the venom mouthpiece. In your mental housing. Sent to finish bounties on everyone who's doubting. There's the first round. Chuck said tell them what they want. Took a little breather while we took took a break. Went to a park and stole a rich kid's cake. Staking marijuana too, bumping some Nevada tunes. Washing down the clown with some of Svetlana's brew. Who the fuck are you? That's what they keep asking. Kevin Garvey on a beat, international assassin. Smashing like my life's at risk. Caskets, hit mics, tell arthritis hits. Still might make a life of this. Never will concede my run. Clever with deleted fun. Sever undefeated punk professor of the beaten drum.